Welcome to this exclusive interview with His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Munthalika, the former president of Malawi and the current president of the Democratic Progressive Party. Welcome, Excellency.
Thank you.
All right. Tell me, how is life after leaving office?
Very good. More time now to read. Read a lot of books, history. My favorites, military history, reading that. Right now I'm reading a book called Speeches That Changed the World, going back to Jesus Christ through Martin Luther King, and very interesting. Some of the great speeches in history. Reading that, and I've really started my hobby, which is to translate English to Latin and back. I haven't just started doing that, but I'll be doing that shortly. But I have a lot of time now to do all the things that I like to do, so I'm very, very happy.
Okay, share me your experience when the election of 23rd June, when you heard that Dr. Lazarus Chakwera has won. What were you doing that time?
I was at the Sanjika Bias, I think. I wasn't surprised, but I knew the whole thing had been contrived, so I knew it would turn out that way. The whole thing beginning with the decision in which the court clearly said that they found no irregularities. They found some irregularities, but that they found no rigging, but that the irregularities don't affect the outcome. But they still went ahead and nullified, and then, of course, brought in 50 plus 1, just to make it impossible for me to say I won, because it wasn't in the law, but they put it there. So I knew then they set up this election. The way it was set up, it was in fact illegal. The necessary amendments had not been made to the laws to have the election. So I knew the whole thing was a farce. So I wasn't surprised when I was told that. So the truth of the matter is that we didn't lose the election, really. We lost the government, the election. In the central region, there was massive rigging there. No monitors were chased or beaten, some hacked to death. And in the absence of monitors, they did what they wanted to enter the numbers. So I wasn't surprised.
By the way, those monitors who were reported missing, have they been found?
I don't think they've been found. I hope to check. But a couple were missing, but many were beaten, hacked. You saw some of the pictures, and so forth. So that's what happened, and we could have contested it. In fact, actually, the so-called fresh presidential election of 2020 was worse than the one that was nullified.
How worse?
Worse because there's so much rigging there, and there are no monitors and all that kind of stuff. We could have gone to court or maybe to my little commission, but I thought this country went through almost 7 months of relentless demonstrations and violence. And I didn't want to start another set of demonstrations and violence and suspense. In the interest of the country. During those, it's estimated during those 11 months, the country lost about 650 billion kwacha in terms of destruction of property, slowed business, a business that could have come did not come. And I didn't want the country to go to another. It's not worth it, really, to be honest with you. I put the country ahead of this, that my interests don't really matter, and therefore we decided to move on. And I said at Sanjika that I want the president well, I wish him well, my last press conference, but I asked Malawians to respect the office of the president. Because what happened to me, from the press, but also from the opposition and other members of the public, was very unfortunate that they personalized this with insults for absolute no reason. The only crime is that I became president. And I know why. There was a resentment to me from the beginning. 2 reasons. One was the fact that I'd lived outside for a long time. And some people felt that I didn't deserve this. I wasn't true Malawian, which was total stupidity. And the second one, some people resented the fact that a second member of the same family became president. So from the beginning, they decided to oppose me and everything I did discounted it. They decided from the beginning that I'd failed. Everything I did discounted it. But if you look at the history, you'll see that we did a lot of wonderful things. This economy, I found it collapse. We reduced interest rates. The first president in the history of this country to run the country without budget support. We managed to do that, 40% deficit of support. We managed to do that, reduce interest rates, inflation to single digit, stabilize the exchange rates, and reserves. When I left, we had almost 6 months reserves. Now I think it's less than 1 month.
Professor Munthalika, going back to the elections,
yes.
You say it was rigged.
Yes.
One might wonder that you were ruling. Yes. And the opposition rigged the elections, because yes. One might expect the ruling party to rig, not the opposition to rig.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. We are accused of rigging in 2012, and we're in opposition. People can. Well, when you say rigged, what it means is you are creating conditions whereby you have affected the outcome of the elections in your favor. Now, by chasing our monitors over the central region and parts of the north, beating them up, and making all those entries without monitors, that's what is rigging. Because they put in their own figures, and some constituencies will get zero. Can you imagine where we have a committee of the DPP, don't get even one vote? You see, that's rigging. And you go to places like in Atlanta, places where a number of places where it was MCP 400, DPP 200, consistently in a number of areas with stations. So that's what I say, rigging, in the sense that conditions were created, especially in the central region. The conditions were created which affected the outcome, because our monitors were not there. Why were they chasing our monitors? They were chasing them because they want to change the figures and the ballots and putting down stuff. That's why they did it. So that's why I'm saying I know they'll castigate me, but that's a fact.
Because that's what others say, that was what DPP wanted to do.
No, well, how do they know what DPP wanted to do? How do they know that? Before doing it, yes. How do they know?
But going back to your the time we were in government, several arrests have been made in connection to issues of corruption and other criminal activities, painting a picture that during a reign, people were very free to take money the way they want in a corrupt manner. What was happening?
I don't think that's necessarily true, that people are just taking money. They have got to prove it now. Several people have been charged in terms of financing, maybe so far 5 or 6 people. Maybe it's not true that people are just taking money. How do you take money anyway? People in government, ministers and others, we have no access to government resources. It's all done through people, some of the civil service. You look at Cashgate, there are no ministers involved or politicians involved. It was civil servants conniving with business people. So the idea that we just taking money, from where? Where do you go and get the money? If you're president, you just sit down in the Sanjika Palace. Where do you go and get government money? Maybe that money is in the treasury.
How do you do it? Deals with other contractors?
The presidents do not deal with contractors. Contractors are dealt with by respective agencies.
Yeah, I mean people in your government, not yourself.
Yes.
Yes, maybe ministers or PSs during your reign. They were maybe giving each other contracts maybe to get kickbacks.
Maybe, I don't know. We have to prove that. That's why I always say that if you know of any corruption, report to the SEB or to the police or to the district commissioner or even to my office. You do that. You see, as I said earlier, look, the government is very big. You have the presidency, and the staff, you have the civil servants, you have the ministers, you have parastatals. We have 28 district councils and other councils also. I think more than 28 actually. Other municipalities have also councils. Total maybe 30, 31. In all those places, things are happening, and sometimes corruption takes place. There's no way the president, one person, can know those things or monitor them. That's why I kept saying, look, if you find that somebody is has committed the crime of corruption, report to the relevant authorities. It cannot be done by one person. It has to be a collective responsibility of everybody in this country.
That reminds me the cement saga.
Yes.
Where you said you didn't know anything.
Yes.
That brings questions that who was in control?
In control of what?
Affairs.
What affairs?
Everything. For example, somebody telling about 5 billion of cement without maybe your office knowing?
Well, how would I know somebody conniving, some business person conniving somebody to use my tipping number and order this cement? How would I know? How would you know if we're in my position? And there's no way of knowing. These things are done secretly. There's no way of knowing. They're not done publicly. They're done publicly. You see, so corruption, those things do happen. Between even in Cascade, it was mostly civil servants, people who give out contracts with contractors from outside, suppliers and others. How is the president going to know? Sitting up in Sanjika Palace or Kamuzu Palace, in your office there, how can you know if a particular agency, let's mention any, what any agency is doing some hanky-panky with some suppliers, how are you supposed to know? There's no way, unless somebody actually is a whistleblower and gives you the information, then you begin to investigate. That's why I was saying that if you find evidence of anybody doing this kind of stuff, report to the authorities. That's the only way we're going to stop this scourge.
Your Excellency, your accounts have been frozen.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
What do you think about that?
You ask them why? Because there was a cement saga, as you know, that people use my tipping number. I don't even know my tipping number myself. You see, they used it. I don't even know it. I've never even seen it. But that was done, and this cement, 5 billion apparently, was ordered, and that's equivalent to 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion bags of cement. That's enough to build 4 airports. That's a lot of cement that was done in a period of 11 months. Even these road contractors could not use that kind of cement. I'm sure the chairman here or road authority can agree. That kind of cement, even road contract, in 11 months. So whatever this cement was being brought for, I think it was being brought for people. I suspect they were sharing it and then selling it, I think. Now, to answer your question, MRA made a statement. I'm sure you saw it in I think it was Saturday Times, maybe 4 weeks ago, front page story. And if you read the story, they said the former president never imported cement. I never did. I never applied for a license to import cement. I never, asked for externalization of money to buy the cement. I never imported the cement. That's why they went ahead and put a tax bill of 1.5, I think 1.3 billion on this business person, and his name was Chuna or something. I've never met him. I didn't know him. And they put that, so it's a tax evasion case. And that's what it is. So they're going to collect. Under normal circumstances, it will be a tax evasion case. But my name is involved because people purportedly were acting on my behalf using my tip. So it becomes a political case. That's why it's made such a big thing. Normally, it will be simply a tax collection case, and they will levy a fine with penalties and so forth on the person who evaded. That's what they do all the time. This has been turned now into a political thing, and the frozen account, I don't know why.
Do you regret?
You have to ask them. I have no idea.
Do you regret hiring people that are tarnishing your image?
Well, how do you know when you hire somebody? Really, how do you know when you hire somebody? You know people, you think they look fine, but then they do things we don't know. How do you know?
Regret.
Yeah, well, I think it's very unfortunate that people that obviously, were, working for us, the government, were engaged in this kind of thing, or were enticed by outside business people. Now, on the frozen accounts, I don't know why they have been frozen. Of course, I think the purpose is to create hardship It's a lot of hardship on me and my family now.
Yes, how are you surviving?
We have no access to any resources.
How are you surviving?
Huh?
How are you surviving?
Well, we try and we help. Maybe some friends helped us or whatever. But we are trying to apply to have them unfrozen, or at least allow us to draw from it to pay our bills and that expense. I just left a letter today. We're trying to do that. Now, it's very interesting that I understand the businessman, this man, Mr. Tuna, who was involved in importing, now is established, the one who imported the cement. His accounts, as far as I know, have not been frozen. Not only that, but I understand he has been given another contract, allowed to buy $3 million worth of cement from somewhere. Apparently there's a shortage of cement in this country. And that's what's happened now. As you can see, you came outside, there is dirt everywhere and also in front. I don't have cement, in fact, to complete. You see, and if you look in front here, first when you leave, you can see there's all earth everywhere. I'd have put all that thing concrete. I don't have the cement. So if I've 1.4 million bags of cement, I'm sure I could have used some of them to do this. The fact is, still, I think I'm a victim myself of this fraud. And then you are punishing the victim. So it's upon the people concerned there to explain why they are freezing my accounts.
From corruption, let's go to politics. How do you rate this new government?
Well, I haven't read it yet because I don't know what they've really done so far. So it's very difficult for me to rate them. What I see so far is they're inspecting projects that I did, the interchange in Lilongwe. And today they're opening the hotel, 5-star hotel. I negotiated that personally when I was in China for 5-star hotel and conference center in Blantyre. I also negotiated personally the Grand Business Park in Lilongwe. And I understand one of the ministers was there last week, inspecting that. When that's completed, people will no longer have to go to China. I was concerned about people going to China to buy dry goods and so forth. So I convinced the Chinese to come here, to have a warehouse here, and they will use that center there as a center to market dry goods over Southern Africa. So it's a big project. I negotiated that, and they're inspecting that. So I'm glad that they're embracing projects that I started. I'm very glad, and I hope they can continue. And I'm glad they've gone. One of the ministers went to Nassau Technical College, so they're embracing the concept of skills development, which I introduced. That's the way to go. I'm glad that they embrace all these projects, and that it's for the benefit of the country. But I'm yet to see their initiatives. I haven't seen one yet. So I'm not in a position, if there's one, I'm not aware of it, in all fairness. So I'll be glad to do a rating after some time. In the event, it's too early. They've been there for only 100 days now. Let's give them time a little bit, that's why I decided to keep quiet, not criticize my successor, because it's a tradition in some countries, like the United States. Former president never criticized his successor. It's just a tradition. You don't do it.
Your Excellency,
you give them space.
Are you in talking terms with Dr. Lazarus Chakwera?
What do you mean talking terms?
Do you talk?
No, not really. Had some communication in the past, yeah. But we never did use talk even before, so it's not anything that's...
Did you congratulate him?
I did. Yes, I did. I did. Actually, what happened was I was in Chicago Bay, and then I asked the ADC to get his number, and I got his number. And I tried to reach him. If I've been Chicago Bay, it's extremely difficult to make calls there. Especially that time, I think I was using Airtel. It's almost impossible. So I felt during the time when I told the ADC for me to call him. It was something like between 3 and 3:15 one afternoon. I failed, so I sent him a text, congratulating him, and I know he received those, both on WhatsApp and also on SMS. So I didn't congratulate him and wish him well, but also if you remember, at Sanjika Palace, my last press conference, I wished him well and also asked people to respect the president. Don't make his work difficult. And so that's what has happened so far.
Now let's turn to the Democratic Progressive Party. How is the marriage between DPP and UTF now?
It's still there. It was there for the election, and we are reorganizing our party, as you know. I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. And I know they're also reorganizing their party. I saw an article in the paper. And I'm hoping that when both are completed, then we'll work on a more formal relationship. That time it was just for the campaign. It was kind of informal. But for 5 years we were working together. That's why I had the Honorable Atwell Munthalika as my minister in some very key ministries. So we worked well together. And in the short-lived government, I had 4 ministers, including Honorable Munthalika. So we are very interested, because of similar philosophy, we are very interested in forging ahead to have a more formalized relationship, and I'm sure and hope the two are interested.
I see.
But I do talk to Honorable Munthalika all the time.
You do talk?
The younger Munthalika, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the senior Munthalika?
Here we're friends. I've been talking with him for years. He used to come to see me Sanjika Palace each time I was in Blantyre. He and I, we talk all the time. Yeah.
All right. To a DPP member, an ardent member, listening and looking at you, what can you tell that member that what is happening in DPP right now?
I think what happened in DPP is probably something common when parties are out of power. We saw that in MCP. Remember that we expelled the Secretary General, expelled Publicity Secretary. We saw that in PP. We saw that in Afford. We saw that in UDF. In all those parties, there are these kind of things. It happens, always happens when a party is in opposition. There are all those things. So what's happening, I think, is growing pains, but the thing is we're just been out to, today is exactly 3 months. Today is 23rd, right? Yeah, it's exactly 3 months from the time we had the election. So it's a very short period of time. But the party will grow. As you know, I don't know if you know this, but I've appointed a task force to do a function review. And there are people represented from all the 4 regions. We also have a lady and also a youth. 8 people. I want to make it small.
Because there's a general feeling from other quarters that it's high time you step down as the president of DPP and let others run the party.
Yes, I'm going to step down. I've said that already. I said that even before we left government, that I was planning by 2023 that those people have ambitions to slow down. Don't divide the party now. Let's wait and you have a proper convention. There must be proper succession. Now let me tell you this, that in 2012, when my brother died, this party also pretty much died. We lost everybody. We lost our Secretary General. We lost First Vice President. We lost 111 MPs. Out of 144 MPs, we only had 33 in Parliament. But we rebuilt the party. But it took time. We built the party, as I was saying earlier. First of all, it was about 6 months, waiting for 6 months to recover from the grief and so forth. And we started, first of all, we started our rally in Cholo. I wasn't sure if people would come. So I said the one should be in Cholo. Because I knew artist people from Goliath would come. So we had it very successful. Then a second one in Lilongwe, Mogona, third one in Mzuzu, fourth Baraka, and then after that we went to Njamba, where I had one of the biggest rallies ever seen in this country. So the party went forward, but it took a bit of time for us to heal from the wounds of the grief of the death. It's only 3 months. And I don't know what the rush is. As I've said, our politics committee is about to review, to report on 31st October.
So when is the convention?
No, I'm coming to that. It will report on 31st October. After it reports, then we'll look at the report and we'll take it to the National Governing Council, which is the main governing body of the party. The National Governing Council will examine all the proposed reforms. This party was formed very hurriedly in February 2005. 15 years ago, it had never been reviewed. The structures have never really been very strong in some places. Now we need, for example, I was asking people, Secretary General, former Secretary General said, we shall have a convention immediately. I said, who are going to be the delegates? We don't have structure. You didn't build structure as a Secretary General of the party or CEO of the party. Where are the delegates going to come from?
But we need.
Let me finish. We need first of all NGC to start building the party from area, zone, district, also constituency, district, regional. After we do that, have structures, then we'll have a convention. NGC will decide when to have the convention. But believe me, I would be glad to leave this tomorrow. It's what I'm clinging on it. It's a very, very taxing, exhausting job, even more difficult than probably being president of the country. You don't know what it's like, the kind of demands we get in a political party. It's unbelievable. So I'm not clinging to it. I'm ready, but it will be irresponsible for me to hand over the party without a proper succession, and to be responsible to allow individuals, some selfish individuals, who take this part and sell it to the highest bidder. That I'll not allow. I've invested in this party for 8 years. I've invested in this party to build this party, to bring it back to where it was after it died, after my brother died. And I want to allow somebody to take this party and mortgage it. That I'll not allow. But I'll allow, there will be a convention. There'll be a convention.
Who are these people?
And appropriate, I'm sure you can find out who they are. It's public domain. And the convention will be held, and NGC will decide on the date of the convention, and be ready to hand over to my successor, and I'll support that successor legitimately elected. Legitimately elected, not somebody who wants to steal this party and sell it. Then I'll support that and help them to win the next election. So I'm not clinging to the party. I'll be glad to give it up today, believe me. You don't know what it's like. But I'm not an irresponsible person. And I said that on 23rd April 2012, that I'll never leave DPP. I'll never leave you alone. For many people who believe in my brother, who trusted him, and I've done so much, I wasn't going to leave them alone. Yeah, I was ready to go back. In fact, people wanted me to go back. My university, I'm still on the university staff. I come back tomorrow and get my job back. But it will be irresponsible. All these people who are sacrificed, I could not let them down on behalf of my brother. So that's why I stayed and rebuilt the party. These people who are talking, they don't know. Now, the person yesterday who had a press conference in Lilongwe saying that he's going to shut down all the offices of the DPP unless there's a convention. He doesn't know. This person just came to the party. He used to be in the PP. He just came here maybe a year ago. He doesn't know what went through to build this party. So he better let off. He better let off, and in fact, it's indiscipline what he did. If there are grievances in the party, you go through the machinery of the party. You don't go to newspapers and make threats. I don't take threats from anybody, and they better stop it. So we'll do this until properly, and we'll do transition as soon as possible, so that somebody else can take over.
Your Excellency, one might argue that DPP has been holding conventions. Where were delegates coming from?
The what?
DPP
Yes.
has been holding conventions.
Yes.
Where were delegates coming from?
Yeah, but those structures are no longer there. That's what I'm saying. Most of the structures have now collapsed. It happens all the time in political parties. The structures collapse. Some of the people have left the party in positions. Some have died, and that kind of thing. So lots of gaps. In the regional committee, maybe half the people who used to be there are no longer there. Some have left. Some have gone to other political parties. You see, so we need to restructure, to rebuild this party. That's what you do, as I said earlier to another group. Prime Minister Nyerere, in 1962, after winning election, he resigned as Prime Minister and asked Rashid Kaur, his deputy, to be Prime Minister. He went into the country for 1 year, organized the party himself, and then came back, then he ran for president of the same party and the president of the country. Today, the CCM, Chama Pinduzi, is the strongest party in East Africa. Nobody can defeat that party for the next 50 years. You see, because it was properly organized. Now we have a convention today in a party that's already doesn't have structures, disorganized. That would be stupid. It will be a recipe for real disaster. We need to rebuild the party first, then have delegates, and then move on with the party to make it a fighting party. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know why it's so hard to understand for some people. To me, it's a very simple kind of philosophy, but I think for some people it's very difficult for them to understand. They want a convention today, because they want power today. It's not on. That's not the way to run a political party. That's a recipe for disaster. I tell you, it's a recipe for disaster.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's been a pleasure. You might have your last word.
Oh, my last word is I'm very glad that you have this interview. I've been waiting for this for a long time. The last one I had with Gospel, that was about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, at Sanjika Palace. I thought it was a very good interview. We tried to arrange others after that during the campaign, but we never were able to scale, our times. So I'm glad to come back to Zodiac and keep on with a high spirit, a philosophy of fairness. Be fair in your news. Don't be biased. Don't support a particular political party. Support the nation and democracy. So that's my last word.
Thank you very much. That's Professor Arthur Peter Munthalika, former president of Malawi and president of Democratic Progressive Party. Tikulandireni pakucheza wadera ndi Professor Arthur Peter Munthalika, yemwe ndi president wa dziko lino komanso president wa Democratic Progressive Party. Takulandirani. Kodi pano munachoka no pampando wa president, moyo uli bwanji pano?
Aine ndibwera kwambiri monga mukuona ndikuoneka bwino ndiosangala kwambiri andituli.
Mutamva kuti Dr. Lazarus Chakwera apambana, mudamva bwanji mu mtima mwanu?
Ine sinadabwisa nadziwa kuti ziya choncho chifukwa campaign yonse kuyambira nthawi ya ma demonstration zinazoziwika kuti akufuna kulanda boma, akusinda boma, ndiye majaji aja minagamula mlandu umene uja musakhala malamulo komanso campaign imene yayendera osasata malamulo. Ndeni inadziwa kuti zili kamuntu ntamva kuti iwo akulu awina. Ine sinadabwe kwa mukuziwa kuti ku Central Region kuja kunali mavuto ambiri, mamonda athu anathamangidwa, ena kumenyedwa, ndiye amakita kulembesa mavoti, kuonesa mavoti mboko moja popanda mamonita athu. Zonse ku Central Region komanso part of Northern Region. Ndiye naziwa kuti palibe sitiwina, naziwa zimene kuti boma basi lapita. So fine. Tivomeza zimene kuti ziko lipite pasogolo. Chofunika kuti ziko lipite pasogolo tisambe so in fact election imene inachitika ija in fact inayopa kuposa nso ya 2019 it was worse.
Bwanji
chifukwa kuna rigging ku Central Region konse ku Central Region kuja kuna monitor anathamangisa montage chifukwa chani amathamangisa montage. Why? Amathamangisa kuti iwo akachoma monta ndiye abe manamba. That's what that's what they did. So nazo kuti election yonse it was a fast. In fact, in other words, akushana 29 koma tinakutuma kusanjika pa iznadia kwasi kuti yambe zimene zipita ku court kapena ku Malawi Commission ziko lavutika kwambiri pa miezi 11 mademo zosiyana anthu atopa sumon ndikanga kokala ndikuti ningosiya ife in the interest of the country this year boma iwatenge it's okay.
Wina nkufusa kuti chipani chotsutsa kubera cholamula okanika.
Zimachitika. Unanena zimachitika. Munawa ku Central Region. Nangasamani achipani chimeso chimboma anathamangisa mauje. Mamonita tukamenya ina kwa kapa ina nafa and so amasamisa kuti akachoka ndiyo walembe uje. Uje achite entry manamba ina achinyengo. There's no question. Pre-election in many in Egypt are rigged. That's absolutely no question. If we decided, I think Tingo Sears Mezo, Talori Watenge Boma, personal interest to self and the interest as equal to could Malawi is more important.
Professor,
so that's what happened.
Professor Munthalika, anthu angapo amangidwapo amene anali mboma mwanu ndi amene mukulamulira nkhani zake zokhudza corruption. Pali chithunzithunzi kuti kuna nkhanga chisawawa chotenga ndalama zimakhala bwanji?
Sizoona chisawawa kuli corruption ngakhale nthawi yakale even aujeni a DPP aujeni Bambo Honorable Fahad Hassan I think 28 or something, 30% ya drama kuno the corruption, corruption. So corruption is seeking to just upon I. Come if not kuti, ngarimu pesa muntu. I mean, with corruption, we get a report. Coffee Swanga, kwa this commissioner, anti-corruption bureau, ku police, financial intelligence agency. But they also have some report is from corruption. Corruption, sinkonia muntu mods. Ndia ife tonse Malawi mukana kuti corruption mukire report first kuri corruption is but they just sit but president iningazo bwa kwa ma council 28 in fact 31 but this council minimum corruption aiku and also iningazo bwa zimezulika ku sanje kabla kujitipa iningazo bwa ndi kusanyika pale. It's not fair, it's not right. Because on somebody vice president. No, it's not on. Somebody is like tonse degrees on my charishi, andai, ajipad, sorts of reason I could eat. Economy tonse and dia tonse, someone to mods.
Tunena bano, magauntana ku banki, abanga freeze, kudisi mungate ku katenga kundalama kumeneko magaunti yana. Zinakhala bwanji? Mafunse chifukwa mkuza kuti pana nkhani ya simende kuti amanya kuti ine nauda simende ine sauda simende mwana kunjaku ndikulephera kuchita uye simende kuchita pave ndikakhani simende imene pakali pano sikuli kati chonjo kuli dot chonjo ndikhani so zaboza anthu ena anagwiza ndi ena mabishop ena ndikuyuza namba yanga ambati tipi ineso simaiziwa I've never used it ndikuona simende ija ine sinakita apply for import license. So I can apply forex. No way. And I don't have 5 billion. Think I could 5 billion. 5 billion kwacha nditenga good. Kupala antwena amena na guizan kujazimezo. The MRA atafufuza and forex ago in any newspaper. Daytime ya Sunday ja. MRA ina kuti former president a president of Puma Wakai snaggy import cement eye. There was cement I get import in the Mutua business. I was not getting the agriculture or export something, export cement some. I mean, there are many and I get out of cement apparently.
And there MRA appeal kwamenya ampasa fanya kudu 1.3 billion. Sonko umena kita evade nkani ya ndio uja yuta evade tax. That's all. It's very simple. Sinkani yako ndio kita evade. It's just good my name is involved. Kudimena kita turn someone into a big political issue. Ndio ine sina kita involved kita order cement. Kuma kita freeze account yanga. Kuma also kita freeze account as far as I know you're a businessman amenyo. Kwanza avanso gudi ampasa so contract ina. Kuta order cement 3 million. And they in the victim, I mean I was wronged. Kama susupakali pano, I'm being punished. Kama the victim. So my phone say why? Chifachani I will keep a freeze account yang. I don't know. They know by now. Akuzi once. MRA kandandan akuzi akudi sinakita order cement. No way. Sinakita order cement. They know that. Akuzi cement. Kudi once sinakita order and my business aja. I mean I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman. Cement I'm paying 1.4 billion akuti. 1.4 million bags. I could in 81 something 800 metric tons. I think enough to build 4 airports. It's mainly I mean like the order. Then my phone said which I with a freeze account and it created this hardship on me. To punish me for what reason? Huh? No, take the charge. Take the charge. I get and freeze. We are already my lawyers. I was good at and freeze. What basis for with a freeze account Paribi for. Unless it's persecution.
I mean, I wouldn't feel like I'm not so good about Hande, a former president, Aumajan, Sakuma Bank, and those Macaraways. Why it goes up on one time, Macori Pangono, you know, Pacaripano, Kufuta, that's why I made it with Tangongori, couldn't find that in Belawujin, SCB, Kuri at Loy, Kuri withdraw, Kuri with Mongol, to make that English for Pacaripano to be my sources. So that's what happened. Commanding Kenya persecution, I think I'm a former president. You know, Kurokumai tradition, could the president make persecute my former president in a after Radimanga a president US band. It will contrive that treason private trees. What that look? Throwing bomb. And let's go after her. Get a revenge. In an good eye, in the medicine door. It's not just persecution. If I could Malay, it's only country, Africa. When I could praise the Kalawa, Amanzoza praise before him. It's only Malay. Could be Pinakan, Zambia, Tanzania. This is my critical. It's only Malay. Tumakita Kuzunza. Friends are many before you. Why? Snikuziwa. Nana kudi culture many someone ite. In a Muzunza Joyce band. And I did not. That's what happened. I could have done it and go after. Commander no. Zimenezo is wrong. Kunzuza Muntu. Popana Kifukwa. Just put on a present. In his mails. So that's why I could even so my first since what judgment antagonism Kabanago car president. I don't know. Kabanago car president. I know Antoina Samasanga Frana Kudina Kakunja Zaka 40. From the beginning, another against me. Ena Naguishwa who can't have we the Bangalore car president. From the beginning. And I'm against me. Chicho senda kita batwale pera. Chicho hikide wale pera. Akuna zimetina kita fights more than any other president in this country in terms of development infrastructure. More than any president including Kamusubanda. Meta kita during the last 5 years. Kumadon says, oh no wale pera is failed. So panari uyengi chidari zimenita from the beginning 70% chance on Pada I. And I remember from the beginning, the first day after I was sworn in. So that's what happened. It's very sad. It's very sad. Could this candidate in this kind of attitude? Your Excellency, Lord Gundale Pangon. Ubare wanu ndi chipani cha UDF, DPP ndi UDF, uli pati man.
pakali pano ife kukonza chipani chathu ngenda kuuzani iwonsa kukonza chawo ndiye akamaliza ife tikamaliza tizakomana kuti tione mmene titakite bwanji kupita patsogolo ife tikufuna kwambiri kuti tigwirizane nda UDF komanso ndikuyeza kuti iwonso a UDF akufananso tigwirizane amuluzi atipe muluzi timankhwana almost every week timankhwana kujeza kuti UDF kuli bwanji kuti DPP kuli bwanji banja li bwanji and so we are very friendly komanso abambo awo we are very friendly so and the other member in UDF timankhwana so posakira pati kakonza chipani chathu iwonso kakonza chawo tidagwirizana kuti mmene tikachite patsogolo kuti tiyende bwanji zimachitika mwana achita ku Zambia kuja zanu ndi zapo misi ankomo ndi Mugabe anagwirizana kuti zanu PF so tizakhala kapena DPP UDF or something tizawa mmene tingachite zinake koma ine ndiyo kufunisisa kwambiri kuti tigwirizane ndi UDF
kuli pano mu DPP mukumveka kwambiri kokana chuchitika njani
I think zinambia kuza ujeni kuti anthu ena akufuna ma president kachanchani inalonza kuti tili mboma kuti pa 2023 palakha convention kuzasankhe amene atayimire DPP koma ena anayamba kale from 2019 before that 2017-18
anayamba kale kukonzekera
ena amakonzeka kuti amati makampu chanchani nawuza kuti zonse zisiye zimenezo chiyamba tiwine 2019 chifukwa izakhala easier ilukhamboma kuti tiwine pa 2024 ndiyanasiya pang'ono kwatitawina 2019 zinambanso ma faction or chanchani or convention and more convention. You see, convention tichita. Kama kuti convention is only masiku miezi tatu from April, June 23rd nakita election. It's only miezi free. Tutamangira.
Fa ena kuti ganzo da Professor Munthalika mwina anatula bansudi nonga represent wa DPP ndikuleka kuti ena aendetse.
Yes. Zikitika koma tikonze chipani pakali pano mukanana kuti pali guluja imita konze function review akita report for August 37th I'm sorry October 31st akita report ndeza tika report imene kupita ku National Governing Council imene uje bungali kula chipani chathu lwamo ya kwambi National Governing Council in the National Governing Council zanga report ya akavomeza ndiye tiyamba kuti organize chipani kuyamba 15 years ago chipani sinakita review kuyamba pa ma area ma zone ma district so constituency district region mwasa basema nonse tikonze bwino ndi kama zazimenezo the NGC itane convention ne pa convention pamebo zasanga amenya arakali president wa Japan esingakita impose muntu ayi anthu asange okha aliyense amene akufuna kuyima azayi
kuna chaka cha mawa kapena
I don't know mpaka mmene takitire ujeni NGC komanso kukonza chipani imatenga nthawi I don't know but NGC izakita decide koma musikanze kunena kukakamira chipani no ine ndiredi kusiya tumo
kodi akuzunguza chipani mundani akuzunguza chipani mundani
inasona kudawo kwambiri khali ndani kwapa anthu ena amene akusokoneza anthu ena akuthama kwambiri akufuna kha ujeni upresident kachanji akuthama kwambiri ndi amene akusokoneza koma ndawo zonse kuti didikie kuti ujeni zizonse ndi nthawi yake it's too early miezi 3 basi kuyamba kuti ujeni tifuna convention tisankhe ujeni leader 3 months after the election smart tikonze bwino anjindirire kushaya upresident wa Japani kwanifa ndisiye Japani mwauje mamalamu wache a DPP takonza bwino kuti achizoma succession ikhale bwino kuti muthameta nsankhe akhale amene kuti anthu onse akumufuna segments, my regional says, Osaka program for Yaka Gudin and Pass Dine. Ndugamba soko zazinto okapla atenga chipanja akakusepina kwaise ine sindolo achifenda kita invest mchipanja mechi even for many years for my time and resources ndesingawe muntu kuti atenga chipanja akakusepina kwaise
manono wena
DPP chikai DPP anika handover DPP is intact kwa mtu amene anthu atamufuna kuti akhale president wa DPP osa sanka munteka hai
pakumveka pena kuti mukangoti mwapanga handover yoncho ndikuti basi ndiwa ku America
ndani
inuyo
ku America ukachacha
basi wakhala mzumveka choncho
why ndikawa kule ndipita ku America ndikanawanga nyuma kuno kuma ngoti this is my retirement home ndikita retire kuno kasi ya politics nzikakuno nziwerenga kulemba kajani mabuku kama articles I office upstairs I'm working no I'm going to America kuliana kwa America kwa Zizuku kapela nikapeza mai tupita ukawaona kwa kizina and so forth kwa sibwira kwa America no nikagoma zaboza zimenezo
America bila kumabiro
nikagoma ngochi komanso ku plantain so ndi makanso sometimes ku plantain sometimes
Kuyarimira kumabiro kwakucheza kwanthu nafuna ndingoziwa zoti mutamva zoti achakwenda president mnayimbira phone call zoti congratulations
I think that in a carry or maybe the other interview no in fact not kumangochi ndi ku Kyogo Bay ndi now zaidi sikuta mupeze telephone number ya mamuchako ya shonfanda imbe ndi anatinga telephone ndio nikutuza kuti taimbe between 3 and 3:15 okay so I got the number kwa kufuta mai kuya ni ku Kyogo Bay matelephone maputa kwa mbi nanga di air to naye sesa kwa imbia I cannot go through naye peleka after that I think about 4 o'clock not mwezi da uje SMS kwa WhatsApp kuli na mesa kuni kuimbe ni kwa zikule peleka wani kuti congratulations kuna support kuli president wanu uende bwini so nakita congratulate kusana yanke kwana kita congratulate
pakati pasimura nkwana pakati pasimura nkwana
I think it's going to go back to sayanga pakati pano fana kazimene sizangatiza for private conversation ngalipo kapena next time zakukoza ngati mankwana and how often made mankwana kwa pakati pano sisi yanga funso imene
nathokoza kwambiri former president koma mwina musabire ndi mawu ngokani maumalisa
mama malipolisi ngokambi mwabwera kuno azolya like interview 2 years ago ndia gospel akazako kwanda funeza bwino kusonda minister mwapasi ma congratulations anga kuti umisa udino wawo yende bwino umisa wawo yende bwino komanso azolya kumplize ukaba musakite support mbai kapena mbai mchilwana ndugu awudantu mai zisuzona osakazi usakaza kilunga mai chenye mupitirize mchito imeneyo once I say sapa sogo kama yanso zakita interview ina we don't know kumari kutola kuti mabwera kuno atola kuti zongwambi